Hey everyone, and welcome to Osiris New Horizons. This was a recently released kind of early access survival game here on Steam, and I went ahead and wanted to check it out a little bit. It's essentially Mars themed, and if you guys have played Subnautica, picture Subnautica but on Mars type terrain, so the red planet, and alien life, things like that. Unlike Subnautica, this one's actually going to give you guns, so yay for that. You can actually defend yourself a little bit. But also, unlike Subnautica, there's some differences in terms of how this plays and how it feels and stuff like that. I'm going to go over a few of those things, and then I also might want to try and build a vehicle for you guys, just so you guys might see something that's a bit later on into the game. Building this habitat itself and getting all the materials, as you have no access to vehicles until pretty much after you build a fabricator, which does take quite a long time. There's a lot of running back and forth between some mining sites on this planet, and basically, if you want to know how long this took, just picture playing Subnautica, building a base, but you don't have the Sea Glide or the Sea Moth or upgraded fins for the first 4 or 5 hours. So it's a lot of just this heavy grind forward, which I think is kind of a detrimental effect for the game, as really there's really no sense as to why there's not better progression. But it's an alpha. I can't sit there and tell them they got it completely wrong, as things can change and most likely will change as its development cycle goes through and people give feedback to the devs. But we'll go ahead and walk out of our airlock. All this place was set up by me. I did go out and mine the resources. The sound design is pretty good. And you might also be thinking, wow, all of this looks very similar to, say, Ark Survival Evolved. And it does. It feels very similar to Ark Survival Evolved. But also, it looks like it was made from a different developer. Just like a small team building something kind of similar in a survival game. So all these structures, they're kind of these pre-built kits, and you can decorate and change the colors of certain things. This building here, this is the habitat structure, and when you build this building at first, it's just going to drop down the frames. You can tell it what wall type to build, from windows to normal just wall sections. And then also you can put rings and hallway connections, very similar to how Subnautica kind of does it. And you can expand this thing and to build other structures. If you open up our inventory and go into the tabs, you can see even for just an alpha game, there's kind of a lot here. We have a barracks, which you can build for personal interior items like beds, showers. Your character will get dirty from traveling on the dusty surface, which is a nice kind of little visual touch that you can see. Biodome for growing food. The laboratory here for building your vehicles. Now, this is the thing you want to shoot for first, as getting your vehicle, or at least one type of vehicle, is a priority. At least after so many hours of just running around on foot. You can see this is about how fast you move. Sprinting, of course, you do move faster. The bottom percentage there is your O2, and that's basically a stamina bar. But also, if you run out of that, you start kind of taking damage. So it's definitely an interesting take on a traditional stamina sprint bar. To refill that, of course, you can also just enter a habitat, and that'll refuel your O2. But also, over time, it'll just refuel percentage-wise, unless there's a leak in your suit. You can build little storage containers. Of course, you can build a forge of some kind. And these are most likely placeholder models by the looks of it, at least the forge. The containers look pretty decent. But this thing looks like it would need maybe another pass or so before it's finished. Here is the rover that I built from the laboratory, and it functions well enough. It can't really take damage, and its top speed is really 29 kilometers per hour. Now, a funny thing about it is the fact that the vehicle has a little interesting of a feature, is that if I'm just holding W to move forward, there's a cap. We're 28.8. We cannot go faster on flat land. And that's true. But you can break this cap. Letting go of the movement speed and basically switching the thing into neutral and let gravity taking over, you can see we're progressing up to about 45. If we're on a slight incline or slope downwards, this thing can actually go pretty quick. And then just holding W again is basically like a braking function, as it kind of recognizes you shouldn't be going that fast. I don't know if that's a bug or a feature or what, but that is something I did notice about the rover itself. Going over some of the aliens. Over there is one of them. This is I believe a crab monster. You can see the combat music kind of kick in. I do like the overall music choices for the game. And just the overall setting. It does play and feel nice. I mean, for an alpha game, I'm getting decent frames, and I'm getting a decent amount of fun out of it. Ow. There we go. And he's down. You're going to harvest meat from him to cook and things like that. Over here, on the back side of my base, I should have our drone. And you start with one of these. The drone is basically a little spawn buddy. You can tell them to mine. You can tell them to hold inventory items. You can tell them to follow you. And they do have two small little lasers as a small support kind of vehicle with you. If we hop out and into the vehicle bay, as this is kind of the late game, I wanted to maybe make a series out of this, but I feel like it progressed so slowly it wouldn't have been interesting. Multiplayer is a thing, which probably made it would have made this a lot quicker to do and progress, but none of my friends really have this game, so I had to basically grind it out. So the vehicle bay itself, you can see there's some little holograms of what you get. You got a ground assault vehicle of some type. It looks like a small Jeep with a dual repeater on top. We got a mech, of course, which looks pretty nice. It looks like they got some weapons on it. We got a spaceship, which is something that I want to build, as it's technically the fastest way to get around, and I just want to see how it works. They do plan on maybe having additional planets and things of that nature. A hover bike, which is just a fast ground vehicle. So that's it for that kind of stuff, but you can see all these materials that you need to gather, and they do take a while, and weight is an issue, so you have to make multiple trips, and finding them, because it doesn't really tell you where to find anything, is a challenge in itself. Yeah, so we got, circuit boards, wires, plutonium, diamonds, lithium. I just went out and gathered a whole bunch of lithium before I started recording this, as we're gonna need it to help make wires and computer circuits. But what I want to do is grab some containers. The airlock does function, which I always like, little touches of detail like that. If I grab our barrels here, and these are basically very similar to like a kerosene tank, something that you would see that you would attach to your grill. And there are geysers on the surface of different gases, and you can harvest these. And one of them is hydrogen, and we're going to need that to make some plastic. And plastic, of course, will be used for motherboards and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and hop in the vehicle here, and we can talk about how gathering goes. You can see this thing is relatively slow, but it's a consistent pace. I don't have to worry about my oxygen or anything like that. I don't have to worry about this thing taking damage. For my tests, this seems to be immune to damage, which is pretty handy, though the creatures will hit you on the interior instead. There's also a different variety of creatures. There's some definite creepy crawly ones. The crab monster, very similar to, say, like a four-legged spider. There is stuff that hugs the ground, very similar to a stingray. In fact, it's right over the ridge there. I don't know how well you guys can see it. There's another crab monster. Yeah, there's like the stingray thing. I forget what those are called off the top of my head. Everything does have its own name, and I think the world has a kind of a cohesiveness to it, which is pretty nice. If we just travel along on the surface here, we're just going to some hydrogen geysers, as I said. Mining and gathering, very straightforward, very similar to any survival game if you guys have played any of them before. Mining, you hit some rocks with your pickaxe, and they break off in chunks, which is a nice little change. It doesn't just kind of give you things. It does have a little bit of an effect, so kudos to that. There is geysers, of course, which you just fill up with your canisters. And that's really about it. So it's mining and harvesting these gas nodes, more or less, and fighting and defending your territory. So let's zoom in here. Boop. And hop out. And a lot of the cost for creating things is fairly high, which is another reason it takes so long to progress. It's one of those, multiplayer is definitely the best, I think, for these type of games anyways. In that sense, you could definitely multitask and get things done probably by a factor of 2, in depending on how many people you have, so 2-3 times, as you can just kind of split up and do your own thing and just bring all your supplies back to base. Let's change all these out. Oh. Looks like something wants to fight us. It's probably the stingray thing. It is. Hey, get back here. There's some weapon skills and looks like levels that don't really do much from what I've noticed. But they do have them, so that's definitely something to consider on future updates. That they will have kind of progression in that sense. And then also blueprints. There's a lot of little station and bays to build in the game. In fact, I can show you some of the furniture items. Beds, oxygenators. I have these top 4 done. I do not have a computer desk. I don't know what this does. Upgrade your each builds inside a barracks. So it looks like I need to build a barracks for that. Climate control, couch for recreation, storage lockers. And these are the things actually going inside the habitat items here. Crates, kitchen, shower, and utilities, of course. You get your crates, your solar panels. You get gas tanks to store large quantities of this stuff. And your basic structures in general. So we'll go ahead and grab the last bit of this hydrogen. There we go. Do get a small little booster. In fact, if you press V, you can switch to third person. You can see how dirty my character is from the red soil, which is pretty cool. But also, you can kind of be Iron Man. Your boosters are at the bottom of your feet, which is pretty interesting. I don't know how reliable that would be. Can I please get into my rover? No? Huh. Did I break it? I might have broken my rover. That's a little odd and very unfortunate because I needed that thing. Tell you what, I'm going to try and fix that. So I was able to recover the rover. Generally, if you guys are having any problems with the games, I would just suggest simply doing a restart. So you go back, save, and you restart the game from there. You can only save from beds. So do keep that in mind if you're far away from the base. You're going to have to run all the way back there. And you'll probably notice, just as it showed basically a quick little speed video here of how long it took me to get back and forth, And I think the total trip time was about 4 minutes or so. Forget exactly what percentage I sped that up. I think times 4 or so. But you can see the rover by itself can definitely get there and back relatively quickly. But I had to do that trip so many times on foot that I'm just thankful to have a rover. So let's hop out. There we go. Now there is a bonus and a plus side to having long travel times and kind of long progressions. Now the plus side to that is that you appreciate these tools and equipment that you get later on much more than you would if, say, it was handed to you. I think that's interesting and nice in its own way, but also can still just be quite the bother. Okay. So I need 3 more of these circuit boards here. 1, 2, and 3. And so we got 10 circuit boards, and we will also need some more copper. Each crafting bench does have its own inventory. So I'm storing my containers and things into the lab because that's what uses them anyways. So we need to go grab some of that wonderful copper over here. Do have an okay supply of it. And then we might as well grab just a little bit more. No, I don't know. We'll come back to that. Okay, so the total recipe for the spaceship is about 80 aluminum, 10 magnesium, 20 titanium, 10 plutonium, 10 wire, 5 glass, 10 circuit board, and 5 steel plates. Alright, so we got 9 wire. We need... Am I really out of gold? Is that really what I'm missing right now? I could have sworn I would have had plenty of it. But you never know until you go to build something and then, hey, you're out and you're going to have to go make a run on that. And it looks like I will have to. So I'm going to do that probably off camera just for expediency's sake. I also need to build a new shovel for glass, I think. No, I have plenty of glass pre-made, so we don't need any of that. So I'm going to go gather some more gold, and then I think, I'm fairly certain, that will be the last puzzle that we need for the ship. So, after returning from mining from gold, it looks like we should have all the materials required for a spaceship. We need 5 steel. I'll just go ahead and grab the 20. That's fine. We already have the 10 circuit board, the 10 wire. Here's the titanium for it. We need 10 magnesium, which is fine. I got that. We need some plutonium, which I believe I have some in here. Yep, we needed 10. Okay, that's good. And now 80 aluminum. So we'll grab 100 of that. And 5 glass. There we go. So that, I believe, is everything. We'll head over to the laboratory. Not the library. There's no books in there. And try to build a spaceship. If it's even in the game. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone build it. I haven't really looked up anyone else's gameplay of this, so I might be playing like a fool and not doing anything right. So let's build a vehicle and scroll over to the spaceship. Press F to confirm. Hold F to build. There's no animations for this stuff. I'm assuming they will make these a bit later. In fact, I hope they do. And the spaceship is partially inside of our hangar. Perfect. That's what you want to see. F? Okay. Oh, come on. Uh-oh. That ain't good, boys. Seems like we're we're a little bit on the stuck side. It's got a decent inventory, and it's definitely larger than I thought it would be. It's just such a shame that it spawned with the engine inside the door. So we're gonna try and fix this. Okay, so we're in the sky. It doesn't look like it has any sound effect or anything, but the controls are really weird. It's basically S and D to pitch up and down, A and D, of course, to roll. WS to pitch up and down. I don't know why I said S and D. And you can just kind of fly around like that. Left click will increase your speed. In fact, let's pitch up. Looks like we can actually go into space. So we're going to go up, press space, and see what this does. It is completely silent and a little eerie. Wow, that looks nice. It doesn't look like it has any sort of weaponry. Okay, so there is the planet. And a space station? I have no idea what this is. Tell you what, why don't we fly over and take a gander here at this. This is a VTOL aircraft. If we throttle down all the way, the engines would switch to a lateral position. It's pretty cool that there is a spacecraft, though. As far as I'm aware, there's no guns or anything like that. Let's slow down and clip right through the station. Perfect. Perfect. This is obviously a placeholder of some kind. Now, the question is, if I go back down to the planet, will I just pop back in over the dedicated area? Where will I pop back in? I don't know, but that's relatively seamless, for sure. So over here, it looks like there is an abandoned base and all that jive. I don't know how far you can actually explore on the planet's surface, but it is pretty cool to see some solar arrays and things set up in the game. And there are giant worms that will come out and one-shot you, so you have to be careful of that kind of stuff. Luckily, we're going about 350 kilometers an hour, so it's not too much of a concern. Our base should be over in this direction. What is that? What was that? Pretty sure that was like a monster flying in the sky. It's a little interesting. The FPS does take a little bit of a hit here. So let's go back to the ground. So we'll just throttle down until we're back in hover mode. There we go. Pitch down so we can get... Come on. Get going. Get going. Man, this thing's really weird to fly. It's like it's really fighting you a lot of the time. So that's it for what seems to be the spaceship. It does look pretty cool, and I do like the smoke effects as you come in to land. So we'll shut that off. And that's definitely a useful piece of equipment there. You could definitely go out to those long distance mining spots a lot quicker using that. In fact, that might have been the first vehicle I built, but the cost is relatively high compared to the rover, and I just wanted something to help me. So I would suggest rover than spaceship, because once you have the rover, it's relatively quick, and then the spaceship, infinitely faster. I don't know how to refuel it or anything like that, so don't ask me, because I don't know. Anyways, I think that's going to do us for a little first look here of Osiris New Horizons. I hope you guys or not New Horizons, New Dawn. New Dawn. Huh. Anyways, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed what I had to say about the game and enjoyed the looks of it. It does look pretty and plays relatively well for such an early state. So I'm excited to watch this thing develop. I'm not really going to have a series on it until it's farther along, but if you guys want to pick it up, it is on Steam, and it's only about 24 bucks. So there you go. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the episode, feel free to subscribe. Check out my other stuff. I'm generally a creative kind of builder dude, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.